Hey Roxxia, newbie my ass by the way. Nothing's new about your base. I mean, your attack and defense stats are helped by your PvP rating. Do get that because obviously you're still in the no 527 remake no. So I mean you will be getting high player attack. So Fob's level 5, level 4. So very good on that. No, there's a rabbit off here, mate. There's no way this is a new base. You obviously have brought skills from other games. 92.59. Nah, just doesn't happen on a newbie, mate. So yeah, pull the other one. Anyway, let's have a look, see what we can see. Okay, so spawns pretty much spot on. You possibly could move a couple of buildings out there a little bit, but other than that, pretty much a-okay. You've got the obvious stuff covered. Back of the rock outcrop here is protected by 3 turrets. I did initially think that maybe you could, if you're fairly quick, you could probably spawn and get into this safe zone because you're kind of underneath both the howitzer and the peacemaker in this sort of little zone here. You'd have to negotiate the machine gun, but you might be just covered by that. But that's probably the only area. I mean, that's the only downside of having 3 up and over firing mechanisms, so howitzers and peacemakers. It does potentially create a bit of a safe zone. You do seem to be covering it, but it's whether my armour could withstand your pummeling for long enough. But I'd be tempted to have a go at trying it. Just at the very least, even I'd take some punishment to take out your war factory. It'd be worth possibly investing in. Maybe losing a tank. So depending on how you want to do things, maybe something you could have a look at. But there's not much you can do differently. Mine placement took me a little while to find them. They're kind of hidden away. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not sure. Well, yeah, I guess you're thinking the same lines as me that you're gonna potentially be facing the attack from that sort of point there. But why that one be in that location when probably it needs to be more in where it says scouting there? Because you've got to think what angle are they going to come from. So they're not necessarily going to come from an obtuse angle here. I think you're probably trying to hide it behind the power plant there, see if you can catch people out by surprise. That one there, bearing in mind at your level, let's face it, most are going to be using M270s, GMLSRs, or something along that sort of lines, and most firing mechanisms are going to be range attack, so that mine's not really going to cause any problem. You like to clear things out and then come in contact with the mine or skirt around it. So I'd maybe have the mines a little bit further out potentially. But that said, again, not much you can do differently. Heavy cannons. I don't know. I'd tell you, I'd be tempted maybe swap the heavy cannon for the war factory. At least then you've got no chance of the war factory being taken out by an up and over mechanism. And you probably know by now the heavy platform does fire, over the top of. It's obviously higher than these rock outcrops. So if you imagine the coverage that would give you, that could be worth looking at. Personally, the only thing I would say, I think the base is large. The problem with a large base is that although the heavy cannon adds a different dynamic to this now, but supposing I come from this side here, I have got access to 2 turrets here for minimal costings. Take the 2 turrets out, I'm into the obviously barracks, I'm into the helicopter region. You start getting to the point where the pacemaker will start giving you payback for that, but there is potential to take out a couple of turrets here for minimum costings before other turrets pick you up, and that's the downside of a quite large wall format base. If you take that principle from this side again, you've got potential to take turrets out, but there's nothing easy about this base. There's nothing, where you think, what, I'm going to attack it and let's go for it. You'd probably have to gnaw away at it and take considerable damage to do it. I say the only critique I would say it's quite a large base. Personally, I never have helicopters in, they fly over the top, so I'm not too sure why they'd be inside the wall. Some people like it, I guess it's harder to get to them, but ultimately they fly to you. So even if they're behind the wall, well, they leave the wall anyway, don't they? And most of us have Zeus or snipers or the level 8 sort of Merkers and the M270s now have obviously anti-aircraft above 8, don't they? So ultimately your aircraft's going to get taken out because it's flying towards people, so why it would need to be hidden, that's my thought anyway. So that could enable you to reduce the overall size of your base. The smaller base just means that all your turrets are closer together. Downside of that is obviously nuclear strike, but you know what, if you're going to get nuclear strike, well, what do you do about it? You know what I mean? I'd rather have a more condensed base and take the risk of getting a strike, and that way at least my footprint's quite small. And the idea of a footprint being small is if you were to attack, say, these 3 turrets on a smaller base footprint, these turrets are likely to pick you up as well, so you're going to get hit by a lot more at the same time. So that's the only sort of difference I would say. So yeah, not much you can do differently on that, bro. I would say you need to get your ass back up to Fox now. You're level CC7. So I'd be expecting that to happen. Fox is our obviously main team. I help support the support team. So I think now you've made that leap, they could certainly do with your skills up in that team there. So I think that's going to be your next step. Cheers, bro.